Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me for an introduction, or for some of you, a review, of how to submit a renewal project application in ESNAPS. During this webinar, we will be running through how to complete a renewal project application and review necessary steps and screens within ESNAPS. We will not delve into details regarding the continuum of care or details of the 2018 NOFA. However, other webinars on our website do review this information. So we're going to start with the demonstration of how to submit a renewal project application in ESNAPS. There are 5 parts of submitting a renewal project application in ESNAPS. First, you must update your applicant profile. Second, register for funding. Third, create the project. Fourth, complete the application. And finally, submit the application. Here is the first screen you'll see when you go to the ESNAPS website. On the left-hand side is where you will put your username and password in order to log in. If you've forgotten your password, click the Forgot Your Password link. If you keep trying a password that you're not sure of, you'll end up getting locked out of ESNAPS. If that does happen, wait about 15 minutes and try again. Just a reminder, CARES does not have any of the username or password information, so if you do get locked out or forget your username, please submit a HUD AAQ or ask a question. They'll be able to reset your information. Just as a reminder, ESNAPS can be painfully slow. If you're not sure if the program is working or not, take a look at the top of your screen and see if the wheel is spinning. If it's still spinning, then the program is working, it's just taking a while. This is the first screen you'll see when you log in, and you simply press accept and move on. Now that you're all logged in, we're going to start with submitting the applicant profile. In order to fill out the applicant profile, you want to select Applicants on the left-hand side underneath Workspace. It's worth noting here the order of items under the Workspace tab follows the logical order of the steps in order to complete your project application. However, before you can do anything, you need to fill out the applicant profile, which is essentially giving HUD information about your agency as a whole. After clicking the Applicants on the left-hand side menu, you'll see this screen. In order to open up your applicant profile, you want to click the orange folder that's circled in red. When you log into your applicant profile, you'll see that it says this form has been marked as complete. The reason for that is that the form was completed for your last application for fiscal year 2017. So you actually need to open up the profile in order to make edits. In order to do that, you want to go to Submission Summary, which is number 6 on the left-hand side there. And once you've clicked on number 6, you'll go ahead and click Edit, which is circled in red. Once you've clicked Edit, you can go back to the beginning, starting with number 1, Profile Type. Everyone filling out a renewal project application will want to select Project Applicant here. As a reminder, be sure to always click Save or Save and Next after you're done with a page. Otherwise, the information that you've input will be lost. We're going to move on to some of the next sections. As a note, most of number 2 through 4 of these sections will remain the same as last year. However, please double check them as you click through the applicant profile. After you've verified the information in sections 2 through 4, you'll see section 5, which is forms and attachments that you need to fill out. The first form is the 2880, and we start with some basic information at the top about your organization. Under Part 1 of the 2880, in answer to question 1, everybody will select yes. In answer to question 2, you will select yes if your agency is applying for COC funds in excess of $200,000. To clarify, this is not on a project-by-project basis. Rather, if your agency is applying cumulatively for funds in excess of $200,000, then you'll select yes. If your agency is applying for more than $200,000 in COC funds, you'll need to fill out Parts 2 and 3 of the 2880 as well. Part 2 is where you list any other governmental support that you're receiving for the projects. In Part 3 of the 2880, you'll list anybody else who's associated with the project, such as developers, contractors, consultants, or subrecipients, if they receive an excess of $50,000 or 10% of the COC funds requested. Once you've filled out the 2880, you'll select the I agree button and save and press next. If you have any questions about filling out the 2880, you can always contact CARES. However, there is also an informational guide on HUD's website about filling it out. The link to that is here. The next couple of screens require a certification by your agency's executive director. For example, on this screen, you're certifying that your agency is a drug-free workplace. Make sure to hit the I agree button or I certify, and then press save and next. On this screen, you'll certify that your agency does not participate in lobbying. And again, there's another form that's available for you to disclose any lobbying activities. Once you've filled out all of the information in the applicant profile and selected I agree to all of the forms under number 5, you'll end up at the submission summary. Please note you'll only be able to press complete for the applicant profile if you have all green checks here. If there's any red X's, then you'll need to go back to that section and figure out, did you forget to select a checkbox or fill in some information? Did you forget to press save? Once everything is complete, you'll see all green check marks, and the complete button will not be grayed out. You'll be able to select it as complete. Once you've completed your applicant profile, the next step is to register for funding. This essentially is telling HUD your intention to apply for COC funds. In order to register for funding, you'll need to select the Funding Opportunity Registrations tab underneath the workspace on the left-hand menu. Once you've done that, you'll find the Renewal Project Application FY 2018 underneath Funding Opportunity Name, and select the little piece of paper with a check mark on it. When the question appears asking if you want to register the applicant for funding, select yes. The screen will then indicate that the project applicant has been registered. Please note the start and end dates listed here will look a little funny. Don't worry about those. Now we move on to the third part of your project application, which is creating the project application. This essentially means you are giving a name to your project. In order to create your project, you're going to go underneath the workspace and select Project. You're then going to go to Funding Opportunity Name and the drop-down menu and select Renewal Project Application FY 2018. You're then going to go to the little piece of paper with a check mark on it and select that. You will be brought to this screen. where you will name the project application. As an important reminder, CARE sent out a spreadsheet with a list of what you should be naming your project application. The reason for this is that currently the same projects are named different things between the grant inventory worksheet, HMIS, and the housing inventory chart. We want to streamline all of this so that the same project has the same name between all systems. So please take a look and name your project accordingly. The second thing you'll do on this page is import data from last year's application. So you'll use the drop-down box there to find the name of your last year's project application. That will import all of the information that you submitted last year into your current project application, which will make it a lot easier to fill out. However, if you submitted a new project application last year, you won't be able to submit that information. So finally, we are able to actually start working on the project application. In order to open the project application, you'll select Submissions on the left-hand menu. You'll then select the applicant project name, the name that you just gave the project application, and select Filter. From there, you'll select the orange folder next to the project application name in order to open up the application for editing. As you'll see on the left-hand menu toolbar, there are 8 parts of the application. We are going to start with reviewing parts 1 through 2. Please note we're only going to review the most important parts of the application and screens, or the parts we've received the most questions about. Several parts of the application are self-explanatory. If you would like more detail on those sections, please see the FY 2018 Renewal Project Application ESNAPS Navigational Guide. There's a link to this at the end of this presentation, and that will walk you through every screen available. 1A is the first screen that you'll see. You want to verify the pre-populated information on this screen. You'll note on the left margin that only details of Part 1 appear. Part 2 will open only after you complete and certify all necessary screens of Part 1. As a note, on this screen, you're going to leave 4, 5A, and 7 blank. That information will be pre-populated. In field 5B, the federal award identifier is the PIN. In order to enter that information, you'll look at the grant inventory worksheet or at last year's project application, and you'll enter the first 6 digits of the grant number. Each of those grant numbers will start with NY, and then you'll enter the remaining 4 numerical digits. The next couple of screens require you to confirm the information and have the authorized representative certify that the information is correct. You'll see within the project application that the 2880 appears again. In this section, the information has been imported from the information that you put in the applicant profile regarding the 2880. All you'll need to do is select I agree and then save and continue. If there's any part of the 2880 here that doesn't look correct, what you'll need to do is go back to the applicant profile to make those edits. After completing Part 1, the following screens will open for your review. Please note, based on your answers to some questions, you might need to provide additional information. After finishing Part 1, you'll notice that Parts 2 through 6 will be in read-only mode. Please review those parts and note the screens that need changes. Be sure to note if there's any data that's out of date or dates that need changes. Then select Screen 8. On Screen 8, you'll see that you can select Submit with Changes or Submit without changes. After reviewing your application with the imported data from fiscal year 2017, if you decide that all of the information is correct, then you can select Submit without changes. As a reminder, there will still be a couple of screens in parts 3 and 7 that you will need to make edits to. These screens will be open for your editing. If after reviewing your project application, you decide that you need to submit with changes, on this screen, screen 8, you'll be able to select the specific screens that need those changes. When you make those changes, be sure to succinctly bullet what changes have been made to the screen. This will make it easier for the reviewer. As a note, if you accidentally check one of these boxes that opens up the screens, you won't be able to uncheck it. What you'll need to do is draft a note below that says that you accidentally checked that screen, but that no changes were made. We're now going to go through some of the screens for parts 3 through 6. As a note, these screens are project specific, which means that they'll be different if you have a permanent supportive housing project versus a rapid rehousing project or a support service only project. On screen 3A, you will select the COC collaborative applicant name, which is CARES. You'll find it listed in the ESNAPS server as Corporation for AIDS Research, Education, and Services. You'll also note under question 7 if the renewal project will be part of a new application for an expansion grant or not. On screen 3C, you will have 3 options. You can select that your project is 100% dedicated to the chronically homeless, or that it's dedicated plus. A project that is dedicated plus essentially provides housing to persons who are the next most vulnerable after the chronically homeless. Dedicated plus applies to your project as a whole. If you have certain beds dedicated to the chronically homeless, you can still identify your project as dedicated plus. So, for example, if you have a project that has 20 beds and 10 are dedicated to chronically homeless, you can still identify those 20 beds as part of a dedicated plus project. The third option is NA, which means that you don't have any beds dedicated to the chronically homeless and you've decided not to dedicate plus. We're encouraging agencies to select dedicated plus if you don't have 100% of your beds dedicated to the chronically homeless. The reason for this is that through the coordinated entry system, your project should be serving the next most vulnerable persons after those who are chronically homeless anyways. So this is simply indicating to HUD that you're carrying that out. In section 4B, you'll note the total number of units, the total number of beds, and the total dedicated chronically homeless beds. In addition, you'll identify the housing type. If you need to add a housing type that's not listed there, you'll select the red arrow that's circled. If you need to edit the housing type listed, you'll select the magnifying glass with a plus sign. Before we talk about the summary budget, I want to note that on screens 5, you'll list the total number of persons who you expect to serve and the total number of units. As a reminder, when it asks for total number of households, that's the number of units. When asking for total number of beds, that's the number of heartbeats or people who you will be serving. For screen 5, you'll want to look to your fiscal year 17 application. The information should remain the same. Essentially, what you're listing is the total number of people you expect to serve on a given night. Moving on to the summary budget, here you'll see the amount of funding that you're requesting. Make sure that it is correct and press save. Next, we move on to parts 7 and 8. Under part 7, you'll upload any necessary attachments, as well as make a couple additional certifications. As a reminder, you need to provide a 25% match to the funding that you're requesting. Match can be in the form of an in-kind match or cash match. You do not need to upload any documentation for a cash match. However, you do need to upload an MOU for an in-kind match. An in-kind match is essentially services or goods. For example, volunteers, food donations, clothing donations. And what you'll need to do is have an MOU with the person providing the services or goods and upload that in 7A here. As a reminder, you can use program income as a cash match. An example of program income would be the portion of rent that a client contributes. However, you can only use this as a cash match if the client contributes this portion directly to the agency. If the client provides this portion to the landlord, then unfortunately you cannot use this as a cash match. Once you have completed the project application in its entirety, again, you'll see all green check marks. If you see any red X's, go back to that section and make sure that you've filled everything out and press save. You'll then want to press submit at the bottom of the screen. Please note, this will not submit your application to HUD. This submits your application to CARES for review. CARES will review your application and return it to you with any recommended edits via email. CARES will then submit your project application as part of the priority listing when submitting all applications to HUD through ESNAPS. This concludes our ESNAPS demonstration. However, we would like to review some other important information and resources. All project applications must be submitted by agencies via ESNAPS by July 31st. CARES will review project applications in ESNAPS and will provide you with any recommended edits. We'll do so via a memo that we'll send you via email. All edits need to be made to project applications by the agencies in ESNAPS by August 15th. This is a HUD mandate. Here are some links that will help you with filling out your project application in ESNAPS. One to pay particular attention to is the second to the bottom, which is the ESNAPS navigational guide. As noted before, this provides a screen-by-screen walkthrough of how to fill out your application. In addition, the last link here is to the Renewal Project's detailed instructions. This lists how you should be answering questions. CARES has posted a variety of webinars on our website to review the NOFA and the project applications. Please visit our website to review any you may be interested in. Thank you for tuning in, and please be sure to contact us if you have any questions.